Should we buy or sell Algorand / the US dollar? First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And here is Algorand's website. The world's most powerful and sustainable blockchain. Our institutional grade blockchain infrastructure is the first and only to achieve decentralization, scalability, and security without compromises and while being environmentally sustainable. And of course, remember to do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. Yep, ALGO / USD. I did analyze this one on the 22nd of June 2022. Breakout on volume was the title, so you can find that and have a bit of a look. So here is the long-term chart for Algorand. We are emerging from a very low level. If we were to revisit some previous highs, let's measure it like that. We are talking about 1,130 plus upside percent, that is. So that's pretty good. Some news: Algorand DeFi is booming. Here's why. And this is from October 14, though. This is quite some old news. So 3 weeks in a row, we have seen a rally here from Algorand. If we look, though, at some of the previous rallies, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, depends on how you want to count it. 1, 2, 1, 2. So based on the previous rallies, we are getting a bit long in the tooth. Looking at the daily data points, a very strong rally, but maybe this is a bit too many days in a row up. We are seeing some weakness today. Yesterday, you see here on the upper end of the wick, we were much higher, but now we're pulling back. So you can easily be bullish long-term on Algorand and look at the daily data points and be like, well, maybe this is a bit too much. Looking at the weeklies, we are very far away from being overbought, so that's not a problem. MACD is a bit dangerous. You see here that we are losing some momentum here. We don't have like a bearish cross yet, but it's a bit precarious. Here are the daily data points, and this is where it becomes a bit of an issue, short term at least. So accumulation distribution is still strong. That's bullish, but RSI is really pushing it. The previous time we were more overbought was here. That was right before a big crash. Back here we had the exact RSI we have now. And this was also a period of very exuberant optimism around Algorand, and we did actually get a rather astonishing 30% loss. So looking here at the RSI and the PPOs, we are, well, at least the purple 20-day PPO, we are very stretched. So in this case, I will write overbought, definitively very much overbought. I think I will give the bulls, well, I will not give the bulls anything. I will give the bears something this time. I think I will give the bears -5. Not a super high score, but still it is a bit, it's a decent bearish score. I do think we are very overbought, so this is getting a bit dangerous for the bulls. And this is especially the case because if we look at Bitcoin / USD, so Bitcoin, okay, no, not that one. We want to use the one from Coinbase. So Bitcoin, it's seen a very strong rally. I mean, this is really a big score. Of course, I have a position in Bitcoin. Of course, I'm happy with this gain, but it's a lot in a short time. We are really getting up there on the RSI. It wouldn't be totally shocked to get some kind of pullback in Bitcoin that could, affect other cryptos as well. Next, we look at the seasonality. We don't get anything to the left. To the right here, we do see that we have 28.5% for January 2023. 2020 was bad, so we have very little data here. So in this case, we have so little data that I will give a very modest score on seasonality. But what I could of course use Bitcoin as a bit of a proxy because of the correlation. So Bitcoin usually has some pretty good seasonality here in January and early February. The problem though is that this time we have had a very strong gain from early January to now. The seasonality forecaster shows that we usually actually have weakness. So there's been a disturbance in the force. So in this case, I do think I will give the seasonality slightly to the bears, simply because we have seen a big gain in Algorand and also Bitcoin, which could mean that a lot of the fuel has been used very quickly. I don't give fundamental scores for cryptos. So let's look at relative performance. Long term, 71% positive correlation with S&P 500, 89% with Bitcoin / the US dollar, minus 46% with the dollar index. Short term, we are at minus 16% with S&P 500, 72% positive with Bitcoin, then 83% positive with the dollar index. But yeah, what happens with Bitcoin US dollar is going to have the biggest effect on this Algorand pair. Here are the weekly data points for Bitcoin. A very good week, but we are at resistance though. Horizontal resistance. I do like the candlestick we have. It's bullish, but I would ideally see this happen over a longer period. I'm a bit worried about us running out of fuel, but I don't think we are we are not even close to getting overbought here on the weeklies. The problem is that this RSI level here, slightly above us, from back in March 2022, that is a fail level. It is. So let's find that level. It's here. Because if you look at this, here you had some pullback in Bitcoin. Then you had a couple of very strong weeks, but then it completely fell apart. So I like that it's going up. It's just that Bitcoin has a bit of a bad history when it comes to very ecstatic moves. I mean, the RSI here is just obscene. I mean, we are at the 85 on RSI, on daily RSI. That's extremely high. Oh, it's so freaking high. I mean, it's just not where we want to be. So this is from back in, so let's find it, 2021. So this is from back in January of 2021. So let's find it. It is here. In this case, we did get a bit of a pullback. If we go back here to July of 2020, that's back here. We had a strong rally, but then we do sort of shuffle a bit sideways and then we pull back. So yeah, we have looked at the seasonality here for Bitcoin. It's just that we just went up so much so fast now. So let's look a bit here at relative performance. Bitcoin USD, like that. Yeah, let's just take the one from Coinbase. Weekly data points. So Algorand, it's underperformed Bitcoin for quite some time. Looking at daily data points, seen some outperformance, but now pulling back. Looking at the seasonality for these two, 5% outperformance so far for January of this year, but we have very little data. So I give the bears -4 here on relative performance. So we end up with the -3.7 in favor of the bears. We have seen a very impressive move from Algorand and Bitcoin. We are, however, very overbought on both. That doesn't mean we can't go higher, but it is a lot. It's the problem with getting this overbought is that you have bears who are attracted to shorting securities that are overbought. They add selling pressure. Another thing, that's the bulls. When you have a nice gain in your account and you see that the gain comes from a position that is very overbought, you are more likely to tighten your stops. So then you get a situation where the bulls could add selling pressure. Like me myself, looking at this, I have a bullish position on Bitcoin, but I'm definitively tightening my stops with these really extreme levels, at least for some of the position, because this is a very big gain in a very quick time, and Bitcoin, it doesn't have a stellar history when it comes to very like emotional moves, as we saw. So yeah, but long term, I am bullish on cryptocurrencies, but I don't like these euphoric moves because cryptos have not a, a really a stellar history when it comes to these kinds of moves. Okay, we have some time left. Let's look at the Nasdaq Composite Index and investigate some of the big losers, because the big losers could become the next winners. One big loser here is Netflix, 38% loss over the last year. So let's have a bit of a look at Netflix. And FLX is the ticker. Yeah, we have seen some decent recovery here. So maybe Netflix is not the ideal candidate. Let's have a look at maybe we can PayPal. Yeah, PayPal really, I mean, that's also sort of related to alternative like payment systems like cryptos. So here is PayPal, just got seriously oversold. Seeing some recovery now, 3 weeks in a row of us going up. When we go to the daily data points, we are sort of running a bit out of steam, but not like a huge issue. Let's look at whether we are overbought or not. No, we're not really overbought yet. Looking at the seasonality for PayPal, we have 11% gain here for January, which is very much on the higher end of the spectrum. So maybe January sort of has run its course to an extent, in the sense that we can't really, based on the history here, we can't really expect a whole lot more for January. Let's look here at the fundamentals. Price book, price earnings, price sales. Yeah, we're not at like the extreme like value lows that we had not that far back. Let's have a bit of a look here at the forecasts. 40 analysts have a 1-year price target. Minimum price target is above us, 0.65%. Average is 31% above us. Highest is 101% above us. So the analysts are definitively feeling bullish. We have time for one more. So maybe let's look at some of the big winners. In retail trade, you have PDD. PDD. That Pinduoduo. Okay. So some of the biggest winners can also become the future losers. So here we see a decent rally here from this stock. I do think I detect some kind of seasonality. Let's get the handy tool and do some measurement. Seems to be, yeah, there's some decent seasonality here, but there's been some disruption here in the latest time cycle. We are part of a rising phase now. Let's look at whether we are overbought. Yeah, we are very stretched here on the dailies. On the weeklies, not extreme danger, but high. Seasonality, it's, yeah, 18% here for the month, very high on the spectrum. Price book is also pretty high, also price to sales, which means that there is a risk, that we are very much overvalued. So here are the analyst price targets. The average is actually 14% above us, highest is 51% above, the lowest is 20% below us. So we looked at Algorand / the US dollar and also Bitcoin. Very overbought though. This is bullish. It is bullish to be overbought, but it's not bullish if the overbought level has been a problem in the past. We also looked at some of the stocks, some of the big losers and also winners over the last year. So all in all, there's definitively a lot of opportunities now in the market. It's more about getting a bit of a balance in your portfolio, because the moves can come very big and very fast, like we saw now with Bitcoin and Algorand. And in those market conditions, the losses can also come very big and very fast.